Hey, what's up? It's the normal playing guy, and right, big news, massive news. So we're gonna have Terrifying Conquerors come in as the worldwide download celebration. In particular, we're kicking off with quite a lot coming in. We have like Easy A LR Turles, we have a Devilman, and we have Cell Max coming, so which is fantastic. Sorry, JP, you're not getting Cell Max. But yeah, so we're gonna have a look at Team Turles. Huge, one of my favourite units in particular, but that's just a given. This is big in many a way. This unit is relatively new, 2021, so having this only a few years means that they're prioritising Easy A's, whichever, just based on what kind of events going on. So that's nice. We'll have a look at the base real quick. It seems that in our base we had, let's see, 130% for Terrifying Conquerors. They did get 3 key, 30% for all allies, which is actually really strong. You did get 6 key if you were against a target enemy that is stunned. You could potentially get that from your own super attack, of course, but normally you'd have to have someone else. And you're super effective against all types if your key is 24, which again would really help for something like this. Key was a bit of a wonky issue because he didn't really, like, he had some stuff put in, but like he has no real key links outside of, say, prepare for battle. He has no key links built in. He gives key, but he only got this if you had somebody to stun, i.e. I think this guy? No, this guy can stun, right? So potentially side by side you could have a pretty decent rotation, but even still, not that much. Alright, let's have a look. So we now have 180%, which is pretty good. 180%. Factoring in 55% comes in at a rather respectable 11,000. Should you have a dupe, wow, 12,500. That's, yeah, the first dupe, as I've always said, is always the most impactful. Should you be looking at 100%, there you go. But for the most part, we always look at 55% to see its true value. Anyway, yeah, so that's great. So, pretty big stats. We have 1 key up to 5, attack up to 50%, and you reduce damage by 10 up to 50% per Terrifying Conquerors or Planetary Destruction on the team, depending which category is more members. That's pretty good because Terrifying Conquerors and Planetary Destruction have a lot of overlap, so that's actually great. You'll often have, I want to say you got at least 40% of there, I feel like, because I say you run a team based on his most recent people here, and all of these are on Terrifying Conquerors Planetary Destruction, all of them, so that's pretty good. So being able to have the increase of stats with potentially damage reduction is really good. An additional 100% to stats, wow, on super attack, and if there's a nerf bred fighter enemy, 50% attack alone. 100% to stats on super attack. Super attack, you now get 30% defense for the turn, 50% chance to stun. Previously, I believe it was 30%. Your 18 key greatly raises, 50% for the turn, 70% chance to stun. Previously, it was 50. That's really good. Going for the 18 key is going to be huge. Mainly, well, all of it, 70% chance to stun in applicable events, whilst also being able to raise your own defense. Additional super attacks would also still do that, and even if you failed the 70, you still have a 50-50. I feel like where applicable, this guy will be stunning quite often, which would be good. I would say with this, you are probably looking at a slot 2 and 3 unit, depending on how they can look after themselves. LR stats with 180% and 50% damage reduction. With this, I'd say it's a solid slot 2, like definitely. You want to try and keep them on rotation. Terrifying Conquerors or Planetary Destruction allies, key 3, 50%. I would imagine it would be or based around this. Whichever's got the most ally on the team will get that. So either way, there's a lot of overlap, and 3 key 50% is actually ridiculous. Because think about this. This guy gives 3 key 40% to stats. Well, if there's a superclass enemy, it's 40% defense. But in a reality world, you still are given 40% defense, which is pretty gnarly, actually. Being able to do that. That is pretty crazy. We'll just go back to this guy. Let's have a look. 6 key, super effective against all types when the target enemy is attacked down or stunned. So now they've added attack down. It's not strictly the worst thing going. It doesn't really lower attack. I'm not too sure if the others lower attack. They do not lower attack per se. So that's something. But there are probably others that do that. It'd be nice if you got 6 key by some other means. Super effective against all types when key is 20 or more. Did he have that? When key is 24. So they've lowered the threshold for his offensive bonus, but they've given him this. Guaranteed crit and a guaranteed additional super attack when key is 24. So there's an incentive for getting 24 key. So it's nice that you build up for a starters, but there's no start of turn key. I've always said units that have start of turn key are better than those that don't, because there's less stress. There's less reliability. So for example, you're going to have your 6, and then you'll get, let's say you had this 5, so you're already auto supering, so that's 11. So you already have 11 key. So let's have a look at links. So potentially you can get, this is only at level 10 by the way. I'm not too sure if that actually is 2 key period. It is actually 2 key, so you are going to have 13 key there, which is actually not too shabby. But so you're only 5 key off getting it's free. It's still 3 STR orbs, or 2 in a rainbow, but like you're not going to get this unless the previous person lowers attack. If you do get this, then you'd be on 18 key. Hell, you'd be on 19 key, for which case you'd still need to get 5. But let's say you don't rely on this and you get your 5, you get your 6, that's your 11 plus your 13. So you're on 13 key. Still need a chunk. That's still a few chunks, because it's not. I mean, literally another key link would be the Kingpin. I would imagine them. What really helps is literally this guy. He's still good, by the way. He is still really, really good. Do not discount this guy. He has all the right links. He has all the right stuff. When he transforms, he's even stronger, and he can stack. He gives 3 key. Probably his best. Are you going to use this guy in red zone? Yes, but not all of them. Can you use him in Magnificent Battle? Probably not the latest ones, because they are a bit tough. They have outclassed this guy, because we're talking like, what's this guy's stats? Even at 100%, it's good. But if you don't have him, then you're not really. I mean, 69% is the same as this LR at base, and you'll have roughly the same start of turn stats then, roughly. So at Rainbow, at a Rainbow unit with all the links, that's probably not so bad, because he's going to get 50% defense and attack with key, and this guy's going to be given that as well. And in most of those difficult contents, the Magnificent Battles, etc., you will actually be against a superclass enemy. So for the most part, you are actually going to get 3 key. So okay, so that puts you at 16 key. It's going to be easier to get the 18 key. And then then at least you're in a shout to get 20. But I'm telling you, 24... I'm not saying it's possible, and I'm not saying it's impossible. Well, obviously it is possible, but I'm going to say it's a little tricky, because you're still going to rely on 4 to 5 STR orbs. Depending on how it flows, you might not I mean, to be fair, like, think about this. This guy needs key at the start, because he builds it up with every super attack, but at the start he doesn't. But this guy doesn't. Like he's fairly good, and he gives key, which is okay. For him, he has enough going for him that I don't think he needs it per se. So that's okay. So it's going to be one of them. If you, depending on who you have, I mean, there are a few, for example, Terrifying Conquerors, we can actually jump to this. So these two in particular, depending on the lead that you wish to do, I mean, obviously you'd have them as a lead in better case, because he's 150% and Extreme STR 4 key 100% for the first few stages of Battlefield. It's going to be fantastic, really strong. But like, you'd run a proper lead, both these two alone do lower attack. If you would actually pair them side by side, and it is possible, here we go, because you are going to share the big stuff, but the problem is there's no key, which is the issue. You will be giving Cooler plenty of key, and chances are you'll have him alongside this guy, ideally, and they share their own links, but there's no key, but you are giving them. For which case, though, these would lower attack. Both of them lower attack. And in which case, that would give you your 6. So if you start off with your 11, then you have your 6. You're already on your 18 key. In which case, if you happen to have more support come in, it wouldn't be so bad. It would really depend if you get this. Now, I'm not saying it's difficult, but depending on... Because, like, Terrifying Conquerors is an all STR-based game. I mean, check it out. The best units going are all STRs. Yeah, Piccolo is actually pretty decent, don't get me wrong. Ginyu is good, but only on the Ginyu team, but he's int. Who else is good? Frieza's very, very offensively fun, but he's AGL. Like, who else do we have? Let's see. So, yeah, Cooler. The metal coolers can be reasonable. There's a lot of good... let's see. Who else is there? And we have... Oh, full power Frieza is actually not too bad. And who else could we have on here? Oh, Frieza first form, right? Yeah, Bojack, he's easy. He could be up and coming. There's a few more of a decent units put in, but the STR still kind of runs this board for Terrifying Conquerors and Planetary Destruction, Space Traveling Warriors, that kind of thing. But let's have a look at this caliber of people. Great leads, 200% team, not a problem. Let's have a look. So yeah, you can use this guy. He'd be pretty great. Frieza, you might be able to get a couple of links with. You're looking for units with big bad bosses, for which Cooler will have, Baby will have, Turles will have, but you can't really run him against this other than big bad bosses, Thirst for Conquest, and Legendary Power, right? Because you'll have some big time numbers, but you don't really. There's not a lot of chemistry between them. It seems impressive given each other the stats, but that's literally it. You're just propping each other up in terms of stats. And again, that could just be enough, because again, having like big bad bosses and Thirst for Conquest is a nasty rotation, right? But again, if only there was extra key. That being said, he's going to be good. His active skill I don't think has changed. It is not. You 60% or less from the 8th turn. 2 times, you just get full 24 key, but you can use that twice. When you get 24 key, guaranteed crits, super effective against all types, launch additional super attack, great chance of stunning. Even if you don't get the stun, using it as a power boost, literally, because you're going to have crits, you're going to be greatly raising your attack, you're going to get 100% on super attack, you're going to be having this. There's no build up to this guy. You just have it. It's just all out. That's what I like about this unit as well, I suppose. It's pretty good. But yeah, harmony amongst the Terrifying Conquerors. A lot relies on that big bad bosses Thirst for Conquest links, and there's a lot of cohesion between it. But key can be an issue. That's the problem. They don't really share a lot. And some of them, you kind of want to prioritise orbs for them. Some of them might have a higher start of turn defense, so you definitely prioritise orbs for a bit of healing. Some might be better in other, like for example, Turles works together and all the coolers work together, or Wicked Bloodline. So you might be forced to float them off. For the likes of Metal Rildo, he's going to work better with Wicked Bloodline. Vegeta and Nappa would work better with Turles. So you could float them around a bit. You could, however, make some Pure Saiyan leads. You could make... Well, he'd be a nice addition to Low Class Warrior, I think. I believe he's on Low Class Warrior. Let's have a look. Because he is indeed on Low Class Warrior category, but... no, it's because he's with his rest. He's technically probably a Joint Forces kind of unit. Right. Numbers will be great because of these two. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Legendary Power, like, all this in particular as well. Huge with other Turles, which again, you can rock side by side. Him giving Ki is fantastic, but he is beast. He is beast incarnate, right? So from that, I mean, there's great things going. Looking at these partners, similar sort of people. Cooler, Raditz, Turles, some Brolys, but of course Wicked Bloodline. Same with this guy. Yeah, it's literally the same thing. I think this guy has more in common, really. So that's fine. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Let's have a look. Brutal beatdown, prepare for battle, big bad bosses, thirst for conquest, destroy the universe, fierce battle, legendary power. Honestly, I'd say get rid of this and add in shocking speed or something, and he'd be probably the best link set going. Our movie bosses, space traveling warriors, planetary destruction, terrifying conquerors, final trump, and joint forces. I'd say these two you wouldn't run him on. The two superclass based, like all the fusions are on this, and all the Super Saiyans are on this. But like for sure, the amount of overlap on any of these. Okay, case in point, planetary destruction, terrifying. I mean, the 4 are on here. The 4. Shall we check out Cooler? The 4 are on here. Period. Shall we check out an older Turles? The 4 are on here. There is an insane amount of overlap. Older Cooler. The 4 are on here. Shall we check out Bojack? 3 are on here. What is he not on? Planetary Destruction. Fine, but he's still on Terrifying Conquerors. There's a huge amount of overlap. Frieza. He's not on movie bosses, but more importantly, he's on one of them two. That's it. Cell Max. Cell Max comes in on movie bosses, so do not use him on the team because he would lose attack and more importantly damage reduction. Which is what I'm saying. Remember when I said before you could probably work out about 40% on average? Because if you put this guy on, you are going to be dropping it. So yeah, okay. You could still rock Cell Max, I suppose. That would be nice. Yeah, so huge. Even his support units. Not like you'd ever run these guys. There you go. Not on movie bosses, but they're not the bosses. But, you know, Terrifying Conquerors, Planetary Destruction. Huge overlap. Do not worry about either or, because I suspect they're going to qualify as the same. Unless the game bugs out and gives you 100% damage reduction, because it counts as both. Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it. I don't want it to go on too long. It's a nice, easy A. I love it. It's done well. My only gripe is literally adding the key here, and it's usually 2 or 3 key, is quintessential and is really, really good. That itself would be huge. And that's the only gripe I've got. That's it. Everything else is fine. The amount of defense you have is brilliant. The fact that they've raised the chances to stun where applicable is fantastic. You know, while this hasn't changed per se too much, you know, like that's fine. I wouldn't expect it to. The amount of support is absolutely insane. 3 key, 50%. Yeah, I think honestly, does not this guy? I think Terrifying Conquerors, I think one of them, it might be Transformation Boost, I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure this guy is also a 50% support. Could be wrong, but like seriously, yeah. Enemies in attack down, that alone does work. As I say, there are units that will do it. If you get that attack down, so slot 2 or 3, he's perfect. He's not a slot 1 unit, but he's a fantastic support and floating unit, that's for sure. Anyway, yeah. Maybe I've propped him up too much because I don't know. I like this unit. I try to be fair. I feel like he is going to be huge. You could definitely challenge a few more of those red zones for a lot of people if you're not going to. Well, if you are still struggling, especially some of the first ever early ones from a few years ago from the 7th anniversary, that would be probably a thing. And I would imagine there's a lot of events like Movie Boss Extreme Super Battle Road that can still be gnarly for people depending on the roster of teams. There's enough easy A's now where it should be easy, but there can be a few like, ooh, that caught me out moments. This team might help out when it comes to some Fighting Legend events, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of missions that this guy will help clinch with this just unit alone, which will be fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I have been the Normal Playing Guy, and you've been a lovely bunch of crumpets. But thank you, and I shall see you all next time, and bye bye.